One of the most important parts of the language you use to navigate any given Zelda game's world is that of its roster of items. I put a lot less emphasis on them than most people do. Some of my favorite Zelda games are Majora's Mask and Twilight Princess after all, and both have item sets that are much less important to the overall gameplay experience, with most of the function of items in Majora's Mask being designated to mask abilities that Link can perform, and most items in Twilight Princess not being particularly useful outside of niche situations, but I still recognize their importance to the series as a whole. Ever since the very beginning, items have designated the verbiage that you use to interact with the game world. A candle burns down a bush or a bomb blows up a wall. It's pretty intuitive. The Wind Waker's set of items are pretty standard for the series, reminiscent of Ocarina of Time. Each of them has a lot of uses outside its initial dungeon, besides the boomerang, which kinda just sucks ass once you get the bow. The Skull Hammer has its applications in combat, being able to deal more damage at the price of being slower, but useful in situations where you can one-shot a slow-moving enemy with it. The Mirror Shield helps you clean up undead enemies in later areas. The bow is, well, the bow, one of the most useful projectiles in the Zelda series. The hookshot is the hookshot, which is one of the most useful pieces of transportation in the Zelda series. These are both regular parts of Link's arsenal in these games and fundamental tools to understanding the game world. Honestly, the only item that doesn't really see much use in the entirety of Wind Waker's arsenal is the telescope. I'm not sure why it's in the game. You only use it once. Sure, you can use it more than that if you like, but it's often better to just walk over to whatever it is you want to look at. But there is one item in the game that I find particularly interesting in how it gets used throughout the game. It's the Grappling Hook, which is one of the first items that you can acquire. I've always found its inclusion alongside the hookshot in the same game to be a little strange, considering a hookshot is basically a spring-loaded grappling hook, but they function a little differently. Grappling hooks allow you to swing across graps, hookshots attach to things and pull you directly toward them. But that's not the only thing the grappling hook can do. The grappling hook has the most fun reinventions of any item in the Zelda series that I can think of. While most Zelda items only have one or two functionalities, the grappling hook has 3 over the course of the game. Sure, you can swing across gaps, but you can also use it in combat as a sort of whip, like in Skyward Sword. You can snatch items off of enemies with it. That makes getting specific loot all that much easier. The drops that you need for some of the side quest content are no longer as annoying to grind for when you can get them instantly from the enemies. You can even get little recovery hearts off of Zelda in the final battle, which I think is a really funny touch. Not only that, but you also use the grappling hook as the main means of gaining treasure throughout the game, which is unfortunately a core part of the Wind Waker's gameplay loop. It's incredibly clever to me to have this item that seems only useful for one purpose, but useful for this entirely different one, that is, fishing for treasure on the open ocean. It makes complete sense, since it naturally has the ability to go down to the ocean floor and retrieve things, but it's something that I would have never thought of. And that means I have to give Wind Waker a little credit. Begrudgingly. I simply can't think of another time a Zelda game recontextualizes an item like this. I mean, the closest that I can think of is the Iron Boots in Twilight Princess, where they work both magnetically and in water, but even that's not the same. It's awesome, but it's not the same. The grappling hook is the peak of adaptive items in Zelda to me. Now, if only it were in a game that I liked. This has been Arcade Everlasting, Twilight Princess Defender to the end, signing off. Thank you for watching.